and bro, we hopped up on that bus. It's chill, hiding, Raji, glad you came to whip with us. Got no GPS or telling what we gon' discuss. Shout out Thompson Farms, they got the melons and the nuts. We like a trampoline, yeah, we jumping on this beat. Early morning shows, got the Crocs up on my feet.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Big Ugly Sports Show, brought to you by Premier Properties. We are your first source for mediocre sports coverage. Man, got a big show here for you today. What a day to be alive in Dog Nation. Got Cambodia back there on the camera, rocking and rolling bright and early. Let me bring in the other guy sitting with me here today. Had to turn that up for a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Had to turn that one all the way up. He is the UGA class of 07. He's a die-hard dog. He truly cares how people feel about him. Punctuality, no longer an issue. Bottom row, prettiest teeth you've ever seen. He is the pride of Buddy Johnson Road, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about Adam Hightower.
Gosh, what a day to be a dog.
What a day to be a dog. Indeed. We're here, ladies and gentlemen. One day off of UGA going back to back. Hi, just before we even dive into it, just tell me how you're feeling this morning.
I couldn't sleep last night. Just so excited. But ready to wake up this morning. I was just looking forward to being here discussing everything UGA football. I smoked me a cigar last night in victory.
In the living room.
I did step into the living room, so I do apologize to my landlord. It was momentary, so no big deal. But no, and I'm not a cigar guy. Somebody gave me one over the holidays, and it did not taste good. I did not really enjoy it, but I had to in victory. Kirby and I, we needed to celebrate. So
and the
rest of them dogs, yeah.
So dogs back to back, and really just I feel like, as I listened to announcers late in the game, everybody's just speechless. I'm speechless.
They were in awe of just our complete and total domination in that game.
And as you know, before we dive in, there was only one intro today, and it couldn't even be a negative intro today. Just too much positivity right here.
Too many good things going in Dog Nation.
Now, next week, will we circle back? Sure.
100%.
Sure, we'll circle back.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, that's true. So, but Raji's not here this morning. We knew it coming in, as most viewers will probably think, and as much as we'd love to say he's not here because
he's pouting.
He's pouting, and he just really didn't want to hear it this morning.
He's anti-UGA, did not want to be a part of the celebration, but he did let us know well in advance that, because of his wife's work schedule, and he didn't want to leave his kids unattended for some reason to be here at the show. So,
how old are they now?
I think one's 5 and one's 4, one's 6 and 4, something like that. So
he probably could have left them asleep. Rode up here real quick.
Yeah, they've been okay. But part of me think that he's happy it worked out that way, so he didn't have to be here to hear us just go on and on about Stet and how he's a legend. And last night they were talking about how he was as good or better than Vince Young because of the stats he had. Just I think yes, that's true. He did not want to be here, but so maybe we should check at some point to see if his wife really was working, just to verify.
Call the hospital.
Follow up, yeah.
We can look into that. But so he's not with us this morning. He's sound asleep right now, no doubt. I mean, sawing off the logs, just CPAP rolling. Probably needs to be clean. A little mold in there, probably, but anyhow. So we are fired up. It's what a night. I was able to, as part of our, we're fasting on certain things. Our church, we've got a lot of big things, which was kind of my weekend observation. It rolls to the national championship, man. Connection Church Dublin, if you're looking for a place, we'd love to have you. Big things going on there. And it made me think about just 6 years ago, me and you and Buck, who's the pastor, who's our age, we're working in Toombs County, which is mine, yours, and Buck's hometown. So,
well, adopted hometown from, still got East Side as my hometown, but a lot of love for Lions Lions, especially, Toombs County. Don't get it twisted, not by day. Got some friends by day, but that's not where Toombs County High School is located. It's in Lions.
Height got that blood, that Bulldog blood running through his veins. But Buck decided he felt called to ministry, and our family in the High Towers picked up and moved over here with him to help plant a church. And fast forward 6 years, and never could have imagined what the Lord was going to do. And so we're currently fasting, and so I say all that to say that last night I had, for the first time, made some baked buffalo cauliflower and tried to.
Flour?
I don't really know how to say that.
Cauliflower?
Flour. It's just cauliflower. And I mean, I didn't have very high expectations. I like cauliflower, but I tried to convince myself in my mind, because you dip in a little bit of ranch, it was like chicken, but just wasn't.
It looked good on the picture you sent.
Yeah, presentation.
That's part of it.
But I mean, I followed instructions. I don't know. So if it wasn't good, it's really on whoever made the. It had a little heat to it. It was Frank's Red Hot in there, a half a cup of it.
Sounds good.
Even Buck rode over for just a minute, and he's a spicy guy, and it was kind of heavy on him too. But so it turned out. I mean, I would have probably given. I almost took a picture, so we could post for the. But I was kind of embarrassed at how it looked, because it looked like little mushrooms. But I'd probably give it a 2.75 out of 5. So a little better than 50%, but. So that was my tailgate spread last night as I watched the game.
Yeah, we kept it low key. Had some hot wings, some burgers. My wife made a Oreo dip spread. However, I'm fasting sweets, so I didn't have any. My children ate a lot of it, but I didn't. But it looked good.
And out of respect, Jeremy probably laid off too.
Yeah, I don't know what she did.
So just give me. Let's just talk, and we're going to talk about Stet, because that's what we got to talk about
in great detail.
But who else? Who would you say last night? Name a couple of guys, maybe one or so on each side of the ball. That
Javon Bullard had 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery.
Shout out Baldwin County, 40 miles up the road.
Amazing. I mean, having 3 turnovers in one game is unreal, but to do it on that stage is unheard of.
And you really talk about a guy who preseason, was not necessarily the name that everybody was.
He definitely was not on the same level of Keely Ringo, the way Keely was being discussed as a first rounder. But guy played great and rose to the challenge. So.
Yeah, he had a great season. Always a ball hawk, it felt like. And
on offense, the offensive line continued to play well, which I'm sure you've read the stat or heard the stat, but Stephen Edwards, he was texting us last night or early this morning, I'm not sure, about how Georgia has given up single-digit sacks for the entire season, and that's unheard of. So the O-line, great.
Didn't they had to have 0 last night, I think, right?
Yep, and they did. So great.
Would you call that a positive stat from Ed? Because it's rare that he sends anything in a text that's remotely positive.
Yeah.
He's the only guy I can think of last night that wanted Georgia to win, but not at Stet playing remotely decent.
Yeah, Stet had over 300 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and
he sucks.
And Stet, according to Edwards, Stet was just lucky to be alive at that point and on the team. But anyway, so you got a couple other guys, Brock Bowers. Lad McConkey had a good game last night.
It seemed as though, a lot of, I think what they say, 1 target in the first half last week for Brock. It seemed that this week that was part of the game plan. We got to get 19 the ball. And
he and Lad early and often.
I was talking with Buck. If you watch Lad, Stet, and Brock just kind of walk in a room together, you're probably looking at those 3 thinking, you're intimidated by Brock Bowers, but you're probably thinking about those guys. I feel good about where we're at.
So you're thinking Brock's a baller, and the other 2 guys may be trainers or grad assistant coaches, with Stet being, 25.
And we were talking about that. I was talking about that with Buck last night. You could argue, I get they're 25. People have made joke, he's too old, blah, blah, blah. But Like if Darnell Washington were 25, then I feel like you could complain because look how big he is, a specimen. Yeah, he's probably gonna hurt somebody. I mean, the only edge Stet has, I guess, with 25 is experience. I mean, because it ain't like his body. You're like, all right, well, he can't play. He's too old. Yeah. We were talking about that, but yeah, I would say just the defense. I felt like Duggan just could never do anything. Like, and we weren't. It's almost like Kirby early on said, "All right, we're going to send 4. Let's see what happens." And that was pretty much. I mean, we sent pressure here and there, but for the first time, I felt like all year, those 4 were able to do their thing and just allowed, the back end to perform.
Yeah, I think we were able to get enough pressure to help our defensive backs not feel like they had to cover for an eternity back there. And there were some coverage sacks and just some good pressure sacks and guys getting in, mixing up blitzes and getting pressure on Duggan and creating turnovers and putting him in a position where he hasn't been a lot this season, having to move around in the pocket and things like that. So it was a good game for the defense as well. So.
And for me, I felt like it was already. We're going to talk about Georgia next year, but just to watch the defense, watch guys like Mikael Williams, Bear Alexander, these guys that you're kind of wondering, all right, would Jalen Carter leave, and what's that going for Bear to come in and just, really dominate while he was in the game, and to see these younger guys, which has been Georgia for the last few years, is just playing guys, getting them experience early, and then that way you don't lose such a drop off.
Yeah, I love seeing those young guys get in a rotation. And that's one thing about our defense that we see often is a rotation, especially on the D line. There's a rotation, a lot of guys getting a lot of reps, and I think that pays dividends for the next season. And if we continue that every season, it's going to continue to help and improve our guys and how they're able to prepare and the experience they have going into the next season. And we were talking about earlier, we have 13 seniors on Georgia's team. So, and I'm just going to run down some of the guys, some of the key guys: Nolan Smith, Kenny McIntosh, Karis Jackson, Stetson Bennett, Chris Smith, Robert Bill, Warren Erickson, Tremel Walther, Jack Polesny, Smell Munden, Mark. Oops, sorry. No, he's not. Yeah, that's it. Polesny was the last senior. So
that's seniors that play, I guess.
Yeah, Polesny, Walter, Erickson, Robert Bill, Chris Smith, Stetson Bennett, Karis Jackson, Kenny McIntosh, Nolan Smith. So it's not a lot of guys.
Out of that, I hear Chris Smith, I hear McIntosh, I hear Stet, Karis, maybe.
So like 7 guys that are big time contributors, So that's going to be tough to replace those guys because they were are big time players. But Cam, you got something? No. But anyway, I believe in our roster management. I believe in the way we recruit. I believe that we will have people to step in for those guys. But I guess the biggest name that we've got to replace is Stetson.
I agree. Definitely on the offense side of the ball. Before we go on to him, because like I said, I know we can talk about him probably for the whole show, and I'd be fine with that. But we hadn't even really discussed the fact that Georgia doing all this without arguably their best defensive player, Nolan Smith. No. And you think about adding him on that edge. Like especially in a game like last night where they were already struggling to block us, and that makes us even one. And when he got I felt like that was a position when he went down that we really didn't have a whole lot of depth in. And you got guys like Chaz Chambliss, who's Ed's favorite player, and just people like that stepping up and playing. But could have been even a little. They might not have scored at all last night if he's in. So I started to feel bad for him. I'm not gonna lie. Like
I did, not one bit.
I did a little bit because the Sonny Dykes story and Duggan just them being horrible last year, him not being the starter, sticking with it. So there's that feel good story that they had going on too. And I didn't feel bad early, but when it got.
And our backups are scoring
with ease. Like
and just not just scoring, but really just destroying TCU's defense with our backups.
What did we punt one time last night? One time.
Branson Robinson is an absolute monster.
Baby Chubb. It's just like Baby Chubb. So, you got anything else on the game last night that stood out before we dive into the specifics?
No, my wife did proclaim that if Georgia goes to the national championship game next season, that we're in. So I'll hold her to that.
Wonder where it's at. Do they know yet?
Houston. She says Houston. She did the research last night.
Already booking hotels?
Yeah, allegedly.
I like the sound of it.
Well, it will never go. We won't be there.
Never know. Seen crazier things happen.
But I do believe we could three-peat.
I do too. We'll get there. So, again, our show today brought to you by Premier Properties. They handle commercial and residential real estate as well as property management. I'm going to get that out eventually. Give them a call at 478-274-1606. That's Premier Properties, title sponsor of the Big Ugly Sports team. We're very thankful for them. And Hightower and I both, from experience, have worked closely with them. Top notch, top class, and they get you what you want.
Just great people. They work really hard. They care about their customers. They're good at what they do.
So if you're looking to buy or sell anything along that, manage property, whatever, give Premier Properties a call. Also, a big sponsor for us is Brian Subs, located right here in Dublin, and we've talked about them before, but you won't find a better sub anywhere.
I love it.
Fresh meat, fresh bread. Go right there, get that. As Height says, get the number 10.
That friendly service too. You go in, they know who you are. They most of the time know what you're going to order. They're good people.
Which is, I've always thought, you hear them say, one, your name, which I get that. You're going to remember people, especially as often as they come. But to be able to recall an order with so many people that eat there,
that's dedication to your craft right there.
It is. So thanks, Brad Meeks and the gang over at Brian Subs for their sponsorship for us. And if you get a chance, make sure you stop by. Tell them Big Ugly sent you. We, again, have 0% off on any discount currently. Maybe a work in progress. If enough people go over there and go by and say, Big Ugly sent us, we might work you a discount. So go by and tell them that. So as we dive in right here, I think we saw it last night. The question was, probably answered, but do you think QB1 next year?
It's Carson Beck.
And I love that. Although I said I felt bad for him last night, I did love that they allowed him to get in there and sling it around a little bit, and he just threw dot after dot. Most guys were open, but, the few passes he threw you could see the arm talent for sure.
Yeah. And I think that, not most, but a lot of the people that I've heard discuss Stetson Bennett have been the naysayers of Stetson Bennett have said that he didn't have the arm talent as some of the other guys in the quarterback room. And so I'm not necessarily concerned about replacing Stetson's arm, but I think the biggest concern is whoever's next, does that person have the leadership? Do they have the ice water in the veins? Do they have that dog in them, Chuck? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So you ain't gonna find many who's got all those things like he does, and his legs. That
he's got some wheels when he needs to. Last night when I believe number 13 for TCU was blitzing off the corner, and Stet just spins out to his left. I guess he spun to his right actually to go to his left, but anyway, and just outruns a DB for a first down. It's very useful.
Definitely allows. And you could just see Monk, and I just felt like the whole night last night, he's just sitting there grinning.
He's a mad scientist.
And they had no answer, and I just hope that we'll pay him. I think he's content where he's at. We're going to continue to pay him, and I hope he don't have any desire to be a head coach or an NFL coach, and I hope he just sits there as long as Kirby will allow him.
Just be happy in Athens, greatest college town in the world, coaching the OC, the greatest football team in the world. That's just like Stet said last night post game. They were asking him how to say it. He said, "I don't know, man. We're just champions of the whole dang world." But he didn't say dang, but it was good.
And so if we can keep him, and then you think on defense, I think Schumann eventually is probably going to land a job. He's the next probably one of the best on that staff to go as Cody coordinator.
And a young guy, so I'm sure he's a hot name.
So maybe Muschamp's kind of got that idea of, man, you know what? I've been in the SEC, I've coached. I'm okay with being the defense coordinator here and working with his friend Kirby, and I kind of hope that
Maybe
because there's a dynasty to be built. And
I agree.
Which leads me,
Mm.
does UGA three-peat?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes. We're the odds-on favorite according to Vegas right now. Georgia is the favorite to win next year.
Favorable schedule.
I think it's easy money that we go undefeated next year,
You
barring
got
some
at
injury.
Tennessee.
Barring some injury.
Not even entertaining at Tennessee.
No. Which I called this year for us to go undefeated preseason, and we did. Thank you. I did not have us winning the Natty. That's just being real. I didn't have it, but
that's one thing about you. You're gonna be real now.
I do my best to be the realist, but next year I'm going on record undefeated regular season. I'm 15-0 again.
Will it still be 15 games? Cam, you got any with isn't it the 12 man?
It'll be it's just 15. The next year will be.
So this upcoming season is the last season of
last
4.
season
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, let's fast forward after that. What does it look like? You do the 12 regular season, conference championships 13, and then you got to win a bracket of 12.
It'll be. Let me get the numbers right. I'll
Come back to us. Hey, give me a hand raise when you're ready. Cambodia coming in from behind the camera. We're just a statistician.
Gosh, if you could see him, he's crunching numbers right now. He's got a Sharpie in his hand,
rocking his Blackshear beverage hoodie.
Oh man,
what a guy! So Georgia three-peat. I took to Facebook last night, and that's what I posted. I said, "You heard it here first. I'm three-peat." And favorable schedule. We couple to replace on the O line. You got to replace Stet, but I think Beck being in Monken's system for the last couple few years is going to really help him, and so yeah, I mean it's in typical dog fashion here. We're calling for another one, and it sounded outlandish in the past, but
and so now, yeah, I mean you got another topic over there because I was just about to ramble off a couple.
Yeah, we'll move on. So is all right? Cam coming back in.
So it would be 16 games.
Okay, 16.
2024. They'll get if Georgia is a top 4 seed.
So
Gets
16.
So
yeah, it'd be back guarantee that. If not, it's another game.
Not, it's another game.
Oh wow.
Okay.
A lot of football.
All right, let's right here before we move on. How many natties in a row do we win? With the formula Kirby has right now, and if nobody, unless somebody comes up with like an all generation player, or
like a Stet,
yeah, like a Stet. I mean, how many natties in a row do we win?
Well, you got to think we're already calling a three-peat, and Beck could easily run it back. I mean, he could, unless he has a jam up year that gets him. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it stops. I don't even know what it feels like to lose anymore, which is wild. Now, personally,
this is where I
saw a stat last night on Twitter. I wonder how it feels for everybody that Georgia has more national championships than losses in the past 2 years.
It's tough for some to swallow. As much as I love this UGA Love Fest, I really miss having Raji here today. Because for one, to see just how disgusted he would be for us to be so happy. But two, I just love the back and forth. And
he didn't die. I mean,
I know, but
he's going to come back.
And it's just the show, man. We need his.
We need him for sure.
His saltiness.
Yeah. And he brings plenty of that. And he would have really been loaded tonight. But I tell you one thing about it, and it's good for him that Florida State is playing well. Because if they weren't, and Georgia, he's running out of ammunition against Georgia. Like, he'd be in a tough spot. But,
yeah,
now's the time, especially when, Georgia finished the way it is at Florida State. It's almost time to secure you a bet with him for next year because, he's high on FSU right now.
Yeah. I've tried to push that, but we already have the
Final Four.
The Final Four. So this season, he has to be in the Final Four for the playoffs of.
So he's got one more chance?
This is it, I believe. This is the year that they have to be Final Four.
Because it was 2024, and which will be?
It's 2023 to 2024, I believe.
Right. That's a lot of pressure on him. Well, that's good.
Shout out to Raji. I know you're going to listen this morning.
Will he make it this far? Because we've talked to Georgia a lot.
That's a fair point, and he may not.
We love you. We love you, Raji. You know, as foul as a mood as you were in yesterday, we know there's a lot of things going on in Georgia, playing in it, and just having to hear us. But he does give us that. He helps us take off our rose-colored glasses every now and then. But today, there's no need to take them off. There's no need. So, all right, staying in Georgia. Is Kirby the best coach in UGA history?
Well, if you're talking about Georgia football history, then I would say yes. I mean, he's got more national championships than Vince Dooley. But if you put him up against the gymnastics coach, Susan Yakulin, I think is how you say it. That may be wrong, and I apologize for any UGA gymnast fans or alum or whatnot. But she's got more. So I would.
We'll stay football.
Yeah. Okay. But
because some would be tough to compare. I mean,
yeah, that's easy. Yes. And he's just created a dynasty. Whereas when Vince Dooley was coach, you know, they were good. They were winning SEC titles and competing for SEC titles. Played for a national championship, won another national championship. So good things happen with Vince Dooley. Great dog, hands down, one of the best to ever do it. You know, means a lot to the program and program history in school. But Kirby's he's on a different level.
It feels like, and I know we've said this, that, you know, Alabama, now granted, their stretch was extended, and they did it, I think, since 2009. They've been pretty much that way, but this has got to be how they felt at some point in that. And I feel like, you know, Georgia, you got to feel like we're going to be in the top recruiting every year just because of Kirby and the people he surrounds himself with. And
the recruiting in the state of Georgia.
And they just continue. I think it's good for these recruits. See, we continue not only to win, but we're sending people to the NFL. So not only are you going to come here, you're going to have to compete. You're going to get better. You're going to get the best coaches in the world coach you up. We're going to win, and then we're going to send you off. So, you know, I hope the cycle keeps going. I don't plan on it slowing down. And
so what you're saying is we never lose again. If it's a cycle and Kirby's still Kirby.
Barring anything crazy, yeah. I mean, we should be the favorite forever
until he retires.
Until nobody's talking about Saban anymore. And Kirby's coaching, he's probably mid-40s right now, late 40s. So he's got at least
another
20
years.
Oh, 20.
20. So 22 natties in a row. Okay.
You heard it here first on Big Ugly Sports.
What you got, Cam?
Kirby is 47. An interesting fact: Nick Saban was 57 when he won his second national title.
Really? Nick who? Yeah. So, do it, Curb. All right. Does Stetson Bennett, the pride of Blackshear, Georgia, Nate Hunter, he showed Nate Hunter some love last night. Josh Carter will love that.
I love that he just was passionate about his hometown. That's pretty cool.
He said Bears and what Herons? Bears and Herons. So, does he get drafted? You know, we kind of talked about this briefly.
I'm really on the fence about this because, you know, the NFL people are really, really big on physical statistics. And so I wonder about
to let one rip, right?
No.
Rearrange? Okay.
I wonder about but I had something in my throat and I didn't want to muck mouth the mic like you do. So
that's fair. I can't help voice mouth. You didn't want to clear your throat either?
No, I didn't.
Do one for Raji. Clear it.
But in your honor, Raji. And so I wonder, you know, if they get caught up on his numbers of how tall he is, how much does he weigh, and you know, things like that. I don't know if he'll get drafted. You know, and I know that being a really good college quarterback doesn't always translate to being a good in the NFL. So I'll say no, he doesn't get drafted.
All right. Does he? Before I tell you what I think, he don't get drafted. Is he on an NFL roster next year?
Yeah, I think he'll sign somebody as an undrafted free agent. But what a story! What if he were an undrafted free agent and then makes a roster?
Story writes itself again,
and he does it over again.
Now we got two movies about it.
I mean, really, this is everything Rudy wanted to be. The movie was supposed to be. he's really the best example of a walk-on that I could think of in the history of college football.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, everybody praised Baker Mayfield for being that guy, and now Stet's done more than what he was able to do. I think he gets drafted. I think it's late, but I
Sixth
think
round maybe.
yeah, 6. What are there, 7 rounds?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd even say between the 5th and the 7th. I'll back up one more round. I just think that stats don't lie, and we can have that debate. You can say people can say he's got the best players around him. It is what it is. When he did.
Well, if he has the best players around him at Georgia, he's going to have
good players around him there, and his size has always been an issue. But you've seen your Drew Brees, your Russell Westbrooks have success. So there is
Russell Westbrook.
I mean, Russell Wilson. Westbrook's had some success too. It's not in football, but Russell Wilson. So it can happen for people their size, but I just think some NFL team is going to look at him and say, "I want that guy in my locker room."
But don't you think they would be more likely to say, "I would like to have him in the locker room, but I'm pretty sure I could get him as an undrafted free agent."
But I think the way he's played, they may not have that assurance. They may think in the 6th round somebody else could take him. If there's a need for a quarterback, I think there's a team that's going to take a chance on him, and I don't know what. I'm not going to make a bold prediction of what that parlays into, but I'm not going to sit here and say I doubt him. I doubt him being able to play quarterback and take snaps in the NFL one day.
Yeah.
If Chase Daniel can do it at Missouri, Stet can do it.
Yeah. I'm not saying I doubt Stet because he's made a believer out of me and so many other people. But I think that what I doubt is NFL general managers and coaches being willing to use a draft pick on somebody.
That story he's got's going to mean something to one of them. It's going to pull on that heartstring.
Yeah. And I hope he does get drafted because I love Stet, what he's done for Georgia, Bulldog Nation. Kirby said he was the greatest dog ever.
Last night I heard it.
So,
I agree with it.
He's got more natties than Herschel.
We got the 2 greatest dogs ever right now.
Kirby and Stet.
Last night. Yes,
absolutely.
So, all right, staying with Stet, this you came up with this, and I thought about it last night. Didn't put a lot of thought into it. Forgot about it. So I'm gonna let you do it, and then I'm just going to hear it out because I don't really have anything to add here. But I had the idea that if there was a movie made about Stet, which could easily happen, should happen.
Yes, 100%.
What would the title be, and who you got playing?
All right, so the title I came up with is "The Mailman Rings Twice." How's that?
I'm liking it. Liking it.
So, anyway,
they call you creative now. See, I got stuck on the title. I couldn't think of anything that worth. The mailman rings twice.
That's for hopefully everybody can figure that out because mailman would ring the doorbell and he also has 2 natty rings. So anyway, the guy.
Do mailmen ring the doorbell though? Is that I guess in certain areas?
Sometimes. Have you ever had a package delivered?
Yeah, but not. Yeah, I don't have a doorbell. So yeah, okay.
There you go. So anyway, so that's mailman rings twice. If you want to get a little more Ricky Bobby-ish with it, you could go "The Mailman Rings Twice," the ballad of Stetson Bennett. I don't know. But I love to throw a ballad in there when I'm making fun of somebody. But anyway, and then the guy that I came up with to play Stet, he looks a lot like Stet. It's the guy that was the lead character in the movie Dune. It's a science fiction movie, but his name's Timothy Chalamet or Calamet. I'm not sure how to say his name.
Chalamet.
Chalamet? Well, that's fancy. But he looks like Stetson. Can you look him up? See, whenever you're doing the editing for this, can you get a photo of him on there?
Side by side?
Yeah. They look like they could be brothers.
He got some athleticism in the show?
I have no idea. But
because he needs to be elite level.
Well, thankfully, with movie magic being what it is, you can make anybody look. But now, if you don't know Timothy Chalamet, if we're going to go old school, I could see, a 20-year-old Tom Cruise suiting up as Stet and just leading the dogs down to victory. But if you're going for who is a young actor right now, that guy,
I'd watch it. The title's got me. So I'd watch it. So Now that's 35 minutes on Bulldog football right there, and we could go on and on
For
and on.
days,
There's
for
so
days.
much more to talk about, but before we go into our final segment here, just feels good. I mean, me and Height hugged it out when he got here this morning. Just
Told each other how much the other just had earned it and deserved it. Couldn't happen to a better guy.
we have. So good things, exciting today. So our final segment right here is a new segment brought to you by Height and Raji, really. And I hate Raji's not here because he would enjoy this, and I know he's excited about it. But it's a segment called Dead for Ed.
Dead for Ed.
And so you've heard us refer to Ed on here. Stefan, Stefan Edwards. And for us, you just know a little bit about him. He's a real douche. He seashell necklace type guy, bowl cut that we refer to as a Reese Puff haircut. Tell us about his career at UGA. Hi.
He's got an illustrious career at UGA. One of the all-time great preferred walk-on quarterbacks in UGA history. Had a cup of coffee with the Dogs back in, I don't know, 03, 04. He was really in David Green's shadow. If he'd have been given a chance, I'm sure he would have thrown, TDs everywhere. But
would you say, based on we did get to see one clip of him in high school, would you categorize as him having possibly the slowest spin move in
yes,
sports history?
Great fist pump on him though. You could write a textbook on the fist pump. Tiger Woods could learn things from Stephen Edwards' fist pump after that little slow motion spin move, score a rushing touchdown versus those kids.
So Ed's a football coach here with us at the school. He coaches, he teaches PE out here in the gym with me. So loyal listener to the show. Real negative about really life in general, but especially Stetson and just all things Stet. Loves Georgia though, diehard Dog fan, lives it, breathes it. Has no doubt in my mind he comes in a day with a UGA shirt on that's at least 1 to 2 sizes too little for him.
100%.
Takes good care of his body.
And then says something like, "Bro, I knew we were going to win. I knew it."
Yeah, the whole time. So we, in a joke at him, we do have this segment called Dead for Ed. So how this is going to work is I'm going to toss a name to Height, and we're basically going to discuss whether we would trade Ed. These people have passed, and whether we trade Ed for them. And this all stemmed from Height crossing the line that we talked about on here a few weeks ago after Mike Leach passed away. And he said that he wanted to trade Mike Leach for Edwards and basically have Edwards pass and Leach come back. But so now that's parlayed us here.
Yeah. And now I will say, if you're not a fan of the segment, if you don't like, if you think it's
too much.
Yeah, too much. I don't know. To us, it was hilarious discussing this when we were coming back from or going to Birmingham or whatever. But I have had I've run it through some people, and they were like, "That's too far, you guys."
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, it should be understood we don't want Ed dead for the most part.
Yeah, we love Ed. Honestly, we do. Just maybe good content. If not,
he's a good friend, and he's okay. He's cleared this.
Yeah,
so
he's good. He's
so you shouldn't have an issue with it. So, all right, Height. First name, Queen Elizabeth.
Trade Ed for Queen Elizabeth. That's a very, and some might think this is an easy choice, but if you've ever seen the TV series The Crown, that kind of puts her in a negative light and kind of puts me against her.
Well, see, I asked Raji about it in person. He said the other thing. He literally the other side of what you're saying. He watched The Crown and learned a lot more about her that for him reassured him that he's bringing her back and Ed's out.
Well,
you got to make a call.
They're about the same age.
Life or death.
They are almost the same age, but because Ed's an American citizen, and she had a good run. She's seen a lot. She's done a lot. I think she's probably all her good days are behind her. Even if we brought her back, I mean, what could she do? So I'm gonna keep Ed on this one. I think that's an upset. Honestly, I think most people would have put money on me bringing the Queen back.
I had money on you bringing the Queen back, but I'm with you. I think Ed survives this one. This is a big day for Team Ed to make it through. What a competition though. Underdog prevails, and
just like Georgia, underdog.
And Ed gets to live through that one. So he's 1-0. He's 1-0 in Dead for Ed, and I agree. I think he brings more to the table for me personally as an American, than Queen Elizabeth. So Dead for Ed 2, Bernie Mac.
This really is a no-brainer. I got to have Bernie Mac back in. And I'm Ed, family of Ed, I apologize.
They won't hear it because he won't tell anybody about it. His
Yeah.
brother and them. So
He is kind of holding the growth of the show back. But anyway, Bernie Mac is no-brainer. Dude's hilarious. I loved his stuff when he was around. Hated to see him go.
you talk about somebody going too soon. I mean, can
Yes.
you imagine, especially with, he was one of those guys that was going to say whatever. And you talk about in today's.
And could you imagine him on social media just posting reels and just one line? It's just different. And
Milk and cookies.
he possibly would have his own podcast. Could you imagine if like Bernie Mac and Kevin Hart and a couple other guys just sat around and had a?
I thought you were going to say Bernie Mac and Big O Sports coming.
Well, I would love that. I would love that.
So you're Bernie Mac here. No brainer.
All day.
Yeah, I agree. I think I love a comedy, and the Kings of Comedy, the original Kings of Comedy, is one of the funniest things ever. My cousin Wade is the one that introduced me to that. Shout out to Wade for giving us some video reels and some footage last night from the national championship game out in L.A. So
I started thinking Wade is like Midas. He's just got the golden touch, man. Everything he does is just.
And we keep trying to get him to hitch his wagon to us so we can get a little bit of that. But
I need a little bit of that to rub off on me.
hey, big play, Wade. Thank you, Wade, for the footage and just going out there and cheering the dogs on. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Bernie Mac, it's not even close. I'm sorry. Ed's back. He's 1-1 now.
Really 1-2 if you count Mike Leach. Are we counting Mike Leach?
No, because they hadn't started yet.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I miss Bernie Mac. I would love, as I've gotten older, where I could listen to what he was going to say, because it wasn't always going to be clean. And I feel confident, that my parents wouldn't have approved of me listening to some of that. But yeah, I'm with you. So 1-1 through the first two, and then the final one right here, the deal breaker, the tiebreaker for this last segment. Dead for Ed, Dale Earnhardt.
Now, when you think about the impact Dale Earnhardt has had on generations of fans and NASCAR fans and people that are like fringe NASCAR people like us, I know, we're approved by NASCAR to go to some stuff. Hopefully this year we'll be able to see that through. And so, man, I'd have to bring the Intimidator back. He'd be a great ambassador for NASCAR. I think that, I just think about Dale Jr. and all the stuff he had to go through without his pop. So, I mean, if we
You're not worried about Ed's family?
No, Dale Jr., 88, 88. Gotta have it.
1388?
Yes, sir. There's a close relation there between 1388, our school bus, and that race car.
They've both been in the shop several times. So.
Yeah. But, yeah. And I think our viewers would agree.
Most of them don't know Ed, so they're.
Well, they know the stash, the Intimidator. They know 8. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So my dad was a huge Dale Earnhardt fan. Devastated. I remember him and Tommy Alexander watching it together. Got a little emotional, the night of the race, so yeah, NASCAR icon. You can't go to. Well, I imagine, and we'll find out. I don't feel like you can go to a NASCAR event without seeing
something
several
in honor
people. Yeah, something.
People still wearing T-shirts.
That's been a long time ago, and so NASCAR hadn't been really the same since. There's been a lot of safety protocols that have come in since that wreck, but you talk about a guy, just the Intimidator, just out there, died protecting the lead for one of his teammates, and it's just. I watched some documentaries on it. It's just an emotional thing, especially for the world of NASCAR. So say all that to say I'm with you. I think Ed's out here, Dale's in, and so for today's segment, Ed's out. Overall, it's 2-1. He took the L. He's gone. R.I.P. Ed.
Yeah. So I don't know how that went. I have to guess.
We'll get some feedback.
Yeah, I have to listen.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I was kind of against it at first, but now the more I talk, but we love Ed, and obviously we want Ed to be safe. So we love you, Ed. So, but as we get ready to conclude the show here, just remember Premier Properties for all your residential, real estate, commercial, whatever it looks like needs. Contact George and Kristen and the gang over there at Premier Properties. Title sponsor.
They'll help you buy a house. They'll help you sell a house. They'll help you buy or sell land. Any kind of property you got, they'll help you manage it. You get some rental set up, they'll take care of it for you. And it's just full service operation over there.
Right now, we are Big Ugly Sports because of Premier Properties.
100%. 100%.
100%. So appreciate you guys, and let's close it out. All right.
Hey, please be sure to share the show on social media. Make sure you're getting a follow on YouTube and Instagram and Apple Podcasts. But after you're doing that, we really need you guys to make sure you're telling somebody about the show. We're trying to grow the show. Do your best to share it with somebody who has not listened to the show.
Ditto. Stop what you're doing right now, matter of fact, and subscribe on YouTube, like it, whatever you're doing. Make sure you, as Height said, tell somebody. There's a lot of things we want to do, but we can't do it without you. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing,
get on that bus.
Get on that bus.
We a work in progress, always room for improvement. Get up on that bus. It's a movement.